Hello gamers, it is I, the Completionist, once again in your sunbox like every other gamer out there is, letting you know about their thoughts on the Xbox Games Showcase. I just hosted my first new sponsorship partnership with G Fuel, by the way. I joined the G Fuel family recently, and I hosted the Xbox Live Showcase, a game showcase on their channel, and I got to talk with all of you guys who support me on social media and the Discords to talk about my thoughts on everything regarding the Xbox Games Showcase. I'm going to wrap up my thoughts again for you guys right now. So keep in mind going into all this stuff that the big thing I want to try and take away from all of this is that I'm not trying to say who won, whether it's Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo for not even showing up this time around because of everything going on in the world, but I at least want to talk about what Xbox had to showcase, what things they did really well, what things they didn't do so well, what things that ended up kind of being the takeaways that I walked away loving. So we're going to talk about everything in full force. I'm going to give my quick opinion, and hopefully you guys will be entertained. And if not, that's okay. I still appreciate you. Okay, so the first thing they did really well with was the immediacy of starting off with Halo Infinite. Obviously, Halo is such a big component of Microsoft's branding with the Xbox. So many fans love Halo. I'm more of a slow-paced fan of Halo. I'm recently, I just did the Master Chief Collection of Halo 1, and I'm starting Halo 2 relatively soon. Back in the day, I played up to Halo 3 and kind of just fell off because they all felt kind of samey to me, but now that I'm older and more reserved, I feel like I can take the time to enjoy Halo again. With that said, I think the best way they could have started all this was how they did it. A demo, the demo screen, pressing start to play, someone literally playing a demo of Halo Infinite, showcasing the beautiful graphics they've got in the game. Obviously, familiar gameplay we've got with the Warthog and throwing grenades and dealing with enemies, and just kind of showing us the cinematic approach they're taking with Halo Infinite. Obviously, cinematics have been more and more potent in the most recent Halo titles, but you kind of get that vibe and feel a lot more concurrently with this one, just given that 1 second we're on a ship and then the camera pans and we are out there in the open fighting what looks to feel like a traditional version of what we experience with Halo. We got a mini map that's a cool thing to showcase. We got objectives. I think overall, you know, I think they showed enough to make people excited for Halo. We know that it's coming this holiday season with, hopefully with the launch of the Xbox Series X, but we don't really have a confirmed date. And you'll see that with most of these trailers and things we're talking about today, there's not really a confirmed date for a lot of this stuff. From there, we jump into a teaser trailer for State of Decay 3. I haven't played 1 or 2, but I know there is a fan base for it, and I know that people are excited for this game. Trailer bait. That's a common thing that's going to take place in these conferences and these showcases, and when I say trailer bait, it's not a bad thing. It's designed to get people excited for the idea of the title, but to me, again, the biggest thing that I want walking away from these conferences is just some sort of gameplay highlight. And if the trailer has gameplay in it, I'm all for it. But when you're just purely cinematics, it's good to convey what you want for your game. It's hard for me to understand exactly what your intent is until I see the gameplay. That's just how my brain works. I don't know if you guys think the same way, but for me, gameplay is king, cinematics and conveyance is secondary. Next up, Phil Spencer talked about kind of the future of Xbox Series X with what's going on, kind of a little bit dabbling in the idea of what's going on with the future of Xbox in general. He talked about how we're going to be seeing a lot more games on the Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate coming in the future, especially with regards to things like crossplay and the nature that just kind of comes with 4K gaming nowadays. Being able to unify the console experience with the PC experience, with the mobile experience is key here, and I think that Microsoft is the company to do this. From there, we got a trailer for Forza Motorsport, and here's the deal. Racing games, I like Mario Kart. Maybe like Diddy Kong Racing. That's about it. I'm a weird person that way. Crash Team Racing is a great one too, but in the end, I think the realistic race car game, it's just not for me. I will say Forza Motorsport looks very pretty. If you were to showcase the capabilities of what the Xbox Series X could do, Forza is your title, and they did not forget that. They knew going into this that people want to see those realistic cars in those realistic environments, and hey, I'm not there for it, but I appreciate it. Technology. All right, so then the next trailer we got was from Rare, and here's the deal. I know everyone around the world is yelling and screaming for a Banjo 3E or another Conquer or Viva Pinata or maybe even a sequel to Sea of Thieves. But the reality is that I feel that in order for a company like Rare to expand beyond their horizons of where they came from, they have to keep pushing forward with new IPs so that one day when they go and revisit the old ones, there's a lot more nostalgia factor built to it. I think it's smart that they put all their chips in on Everwild, their new title. It looks beautiful. The art style and presentation was really clean. Once again, no gameplay, so I don't know what the point of the gameplay loop is, if there is one, or how it really unites itself with the idea of what this game is. But I think it's smart. I think it's important that game companies like Rare keep pushing the envelope, not only for the industry, but for themselves, just to grow as people. And I think this is a step in the right direction. So the next trailer we got, I kept saying during the stream, Life is Strange 3, Life is Strange 3, Life is Strange 3. And truth be told, I was kind of half right. The company who makes the Life is Strange series is making a game called Tell Me Why, which is an endearing tale between boy and girl brothers and sisters who are going through a traumatic event and seeing kind of their past play out in front of them. I mean, again, no gameplay, but in this moment, I'm willing to give it a pass because Life is Strange, the series overall, isn't so much about the gameplay, and it's more about the narrative and how you decide the story goes based on the actions of the players. So how you play isn't a big deal to me so much as how the story is told. And when the narrative is the forefront of the game, then presentation and nuance is the most important thing as opposed to gameplay. So I'll give it a pass in that regard. Next up, my boys over at Moon Studios gave an update to Ori. So Ori, as you guys know, I did a video on a couple of months ago. Wonderful game. The sequel just came out. Fantastic game. I'm so excited that I mean, I feel like everyone kind of forgot about it so quickly because Doom and Animal Crossing came out. If you slept on Ori 2, go play it, or in this case, wait until it comes out on Xbox Series X, because they are optimizing it to run in 4K natively at 120 hertz, 120 FPS. So this thing's gonna look and feel clean. That's what the update was all about. The sound design's getting an update too. Personally, I'm always looking for a reason to replay games like Ori, so I'm ready to play Ori and the Will of the Wisps in 4K in my gaming setup. I'm ready to be blown away by a game I already love, so let's do it. So Obsidian kind of came out swinging with an update for their DLC plan for Outer Worlds. It looks wacky, it looks fun. Really reminds me of the reminiscent times of those Fallout games where they weren't afraid to get quirky and weird, and that's what Obsidian's known for. So it's exciting to see them kind of thrive in that element with their new DLC program for Outer Worlds comes out September 5th. September sometime, I think. Ignore September 5th. September sometime, I believe, is the predicted release date. I feel like the studio that won the most headway with making people smile and laugh during this conference and remember their games really is Obsidian Entertainment, because they came out, they showed off the Outer Worlds DLC, and then they came out swinging with Grounded, which looks like to be a team survival horror game. I say horror lightly. It's not really horror. It's more like team survival game, obviously. Has this like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids vibe of small children fighting big bugs. But the way that the trailer is presented, they really poke fun at the fact that, like, if you want to play an epic game, just play Cyberpunk. But if you don't want to play Cyberpunk, play Grounded. Comedically committing to their own selves in this way, very funny. It just goes to show that game developer studios are not afraid at making fun of themselves or their peers in a way where they can make people enjoy and experience the games they're working on. And I think that's important, right? If you're a game developer or even a content creator or someone in general who just makes art, you want to be able to laugh and have fun with what you're working on and what you're seeing in the space. And I think Obsidian kind of crushed it with Grounded. The game gets into early access in about 5 days, which is kind of exciting. So I'm going to check it out just because I think the trailer alone really got me pumped. But the cool thing about all of this is that they ended their segment with a brand new game It feels very similar to Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, Skyrim vibes, called Avowed. And the thing about Avowed is, once again, we got a tad, maybe a little bit of a teaser of gameplay, not particularly in depth. Trailer was very pretty, very beautiful. When I saw Avowed, I made a dumb Teen Girl Squad reference. I thought it said arrowed. Arrowed! And I don't know if that's because of the font. I don't know if it's because that's where my brain is, because it's early in the morning for me. I just didn't know, but definitely I laughed quite a few times going into Avowed. And I feel bad. I hope the developers don't get bummed about what I said, because it's not like I was dunking on the game by any means necessary, but I definitely was laughing along the way. So we got a preview of a new game called as Dusk Falls, made by Interior Night Studios. I think they're called Interior Night Studios, a French-based studio, and the art style, it's an interactive drama. It looks really pretty. It has a lot of narrative ties to it, holding it together. But again, I mean, look, I have to give it a pass in a way, simply because of the fact that narrative-driven games don't necessarily need to have exquisite gameplay. I think the gameplay helps. It helps convey the story. It helps feel invested and connected. I don't know if that's the case with As Dusk Falls. It feels very much like a modern interactive drama in the style of a little bit of a Midwestern kind of vibe. And I'm excited to see more about it. Gameplay loop, again, not that important. But in most cases with a lot of these trailers, we are getting, as the show is going on, we are getting bits and pieces of gameplay showcasing here and there. Now, the interesting thing to take away from almost all of this is that, looking at the scope of everything we've talked about thus far, most of the games that are debuting as world premiere exclusives or console exclusives are kind of in the vein of studios that are being funded by Microsoft to make them. Studios that are owned by Microsoft and produced by Microsoft, or funded by Microsoft to prioritize platform launch. So you're not going to hear from Capcom or Konami so much in this conference. There are a few people out there that are doing it, but most of it is first and second party studios. Speaking of which, we got a little update to Hellblade 2. Now, Hellblade 2, that trailer from the Game Awards last year, looked so good. We got a little brief update about the game. Not a big one, just more or less that the developers are having a YouTube series where they're showcasing the process of how they're making the second game, which I think is super cool, because Hellblade 1 was incredible. Double Fine jumped in with Psychonauts 2 psychedelic gameplay and teaser trailer, showcasing the fact that Jack Black sang one of the main theme songs from Psychonauts 2. At this point, look, I am ready for Psychonauts 2. I've seen gameplay, I've seen trailers, I've seen gameplay, I've seen trailers, I've seen gameplay, I've seen trailers. What I have not seen is a release date. I need a release date. I want to know. If it gets delayed, that's okay. If we're expecting it this year, that's okay too. Just give me something, because I feel like the more I see about this game, the more I want to play it, and the less information I know of when I'm going to get to play it. I think that's the entitled gamer in me speaking out, finally reaching from my bowels to go, please help me. I want to know more about this game. I said bowels. I meant to say the pit of my stomach, but now it sounds gross. And now you're all thinking weird of me. I love the internet. Destiny 2 showcase. Cool. I'm not a big Destiny guy. You guys may know that about me. I'm glad that Destiny 2 exists and that everyone's getting to experience Destiny 2 more and more with the improvements of Xbox Series X and crossplay and things like that nature. Just not for me. But good job, Bungie, for doing your thing. You're still doing it. It's exciting, and I'm proud of you guys. Okay, so give me a little leniency here. As I was hosting this event on Twitch, I kept making the joke that trailers that didn't really have a distinct identity looked like a Metro game. I just kept saying, oh, look, it's Metro. Oh, Metro. Hey, it's Metro. We got a trailer for Stalker 2, Warhammer 40 Dark Tide, X Crossfire, and those three trailers out the gate. Legitimately, I was making fun of the fact that it looked like Metro. It gave me Metro vibes until I saw the actual title screens that showcased what was going on. Dudes wearing masks and guns and with their crew. Trailer doesn't tell me much else other than there are evil things in the world, and that's what I got conveyed. So there we go. Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, same kind of deal. We got zombos and guns. Now, I made this joke when I was watching this trailer of the people bobbing their heads to the music, and the first few guys were like wearing Tetris gear. I was like, yo, it's gonna be like a Tetris game where you play with your friends. I said that out loud. I was like, this is a new Tetris game. I heard the music and I immediately went, oh, Tetris Effect. It's gonna be a really cool rhythm connection game. And right away I was right. All the photos of people bobbing their heads playing the game turned into Tetris pieces. And of course, Tetris Effect Connected is here. And I think that's a great way. Look, you guys know me in that way. I love Tetris. I'll never say no to Tetris. I'm always down for Tetris. I am ready for Tetris. And obviously I've played Tetris Effect. I've played Tetris 99. I know what to expect with Tetris. It's always just a good time to play. I don't know, Tetris is good. It's always good. It makes you feel good when you win, right? And with friends, I can only imagine it's going to be fun. All right, so one studio that I don't give praise to on my channel, and I wish I did because their games are hard to complete, but I love them intrinsically so much, is Image and Form and Thunderful. Those guys make incredible games. The SteamWorld Dig games are so good. And they had a trailer for the game called The Gunk, which reminds me of a alien-ish Luigi's Mansion cleaning up game. We got a little gameplay with a lot of narrative. This was one of my favorite things to come out from the show. Indie title that's from, I'd say indie title that's from a pretty, at this point, well-developed studio that I think is on the right track to making really fantastic games. If you guys have not played SteamWorld Dig or SteamWorld Dig 2, I highly recommend that you do. The Gunk is definitely one of my more anticipated titles to come from this conference. Now, my absolute favorite thing to come from all of this is a game called The Medium. So, The Medium, from looking at it, a very scary game. Obviously, from the beginning, I kept telling myself, oh, it might be a Silent Hill game. It might be a retelling of a Resident Evil title. I don't know. I kept guessing because I had no clue, but the big appeal to it they were really showcasing is that there are moments in the game where you've got split screen where you see the main character in one world and how she sees it and how it's normal, and the other being this like crazy hellscape environment, and how you have to use both congruently to figure out puzzles, navigate through scary areas. And overall, it was a very uncomfortable game. I am very excited to play it on Scary Game Squad. For those of you guys who don't know, I have Scary Game Squad. It's a show I do with Jesse Cox, Michael Davis, and Alex Faciani, where we drink, we play scary games, we get spooked. It's a good time. Cannot wait to play The Medium. Definitely my big highlight from the Xbox Game Showcase. Next up, Phantasy Star Online 2 getting expansion. Great. Still haven't played Phantasy Star Online at all. I'm glad that it's kind of having a resurgence out here. People are still playing it, and that it's getting traction and support, especially on the Xbox. So that's exciting. Not for me, but I'm excited for Sega fans all over the place. I joked earlier, but Crossfire kind of reminds me of Metro. I jokingly made a joke about it, obviously, but it gave me that vibe until I saw more and more gameplay of it. Made by Remedy, the guys behind Max Payne, Alan Wake, Control. I don't know much about it. I feel like I'd like to get to know more about it and hopefully have some more attachment to it, but I didn't really have a connection going into the game. And finally, the big reveal, and the last thing to walk away from with the Xbox Game Showcase was the fact that Fable is being rebooted for the Xbox Series X. This is all a great time. The fact that Fable's coming back in a big way, just, I feel like this is the right thing. When the stream started, everyone was asking me, what do you realistically see happening here? And I think I said out the gate, Fable getting a reboot would be huge. And this was what happened. We got a little bit of a teaser trailer. It was very funny. Obviously, gameplay is very far out. It was definitely a look down the road. This is what you can expect kind of game. And I think it's smart. I think it's going to excite people for a long time. It's going to be people asking what's going to happen with Fable. Where's Fable? I want Fable. After everyone's kind of had their Halo Infinite fill. So I think it's exciting. It's an exciting time for a lot of folks. And I think it's great overall. Once again, though, I do have to point out the proverbial questions of Xbox and PlayStation. None of them are talking about console price. None of them are talking about true exclusives in the way that they want to. A lot of it is multi-platformer related, obviously first and second party studios aside. None of them are really talking about the compatibility lineup and how they're handling backwards compatibility. Obviously, I think Xbox is going to be looking to keep upgrading all of their generation consoles to continue the vibe of Xbox Original, 360, and Xbox One games to be played on Xbox Series S consoles. I think they're trying really hard to make sure going forward that the Xbox Series is the platform, almost like Apple's iOS platform or the Windows operating system, right? They want people to keep using the software and the hardware, but that infrastructure stays the same so that the investments aren't that crazy big, other than you need a new console or you need a new controller. Whereas in most cases in the gaming sphere, when gaming companies releases new consoles and new hardware and new peripherals, they have to kind of redesign and recode everything from the ground up to ensure that people want to check it out and play it and keep it growing. And I think, you know, with the Xbox One, Microsoft learned pretty quickly how valuable and how important it was to let their fan base keep playing those older games they own, especially because there are so many games on both the Xbox Original and the Xbox 360. So it only makes sense to let people carry those legacy games with them going forward. Again, no prices, no dates, and no backwards compatibility set in stone for either company 100%. And those three things to me are the most important things. So with that said, guys, this was my impressions video on the Xbox Games Showcase. If you like what you saw, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave a comment down below. And if you want to see any more showcases like this, where I just kind of ramble and talk about stuff, this was a lot of fun. I like making these videos because sometimes I need a break from completing so many games at once. And honestly, I just love talking to you guys. I know that sounds super weird, but the way that YouTube works, I feel like I don't get to share my heart with you guys as much as I want to. Of course, there's Twitch, there's YouTube, there's Reddit, there's social media. It just doesn't feel the same. YouTube's my home, and I love talking to you guys in this capacity. So if you like these kinds of things, let me know. Let me know if you want to see them. Guys, I've been Gerard the Completionist, and I'll see you next time for a brand new video. Bye-bye.